Hello, everyone. This is going to be a very simple introduction of myself because I'm going to be here in the States for about 3 weeks, and I want to use this opportunity to introduce at least what I think supposed to be a gourmet coffee's basic knowledge. All right. So if you are interested in coffee and it's about to enter a non-machine type of coffee extraction. By what I mean non-machine is no espresso machine, all right, hand drip or any other method of a hand brewing coffee. And if you enjoy this type of solid black coffee, not American coffee, black coffee, okay, there's a difference, I'll tell you later. Then you can probably watch this episode that I will try from now on at least once a week, share with you people about the knowledge that I have. Well, let me go back a little bit about why I'm, I guess, qualified to share this information with you. All right? Cheers. I'm drinking coffee, a very good coffee from my own blend. But anyway, that's another story. I was born in Taiwan, but I guess you call it, we immigrated to South America at a very, very young age. And of course, we know that in South America, the coffee drinking is not just a fashion statement, it's basically a necessity, and it's also a culture. The way they drink coffee in South America in many ways is a daily life necessity. Okay, they don't drink it because I think they think it's fashionable or they think it's actually a trendy. All right, nothing like that, but rather a need of a good taste in your mouth. Some of them requires a certain number of caffeine kicks, so they can feel it, and also some of them that have other health benefits. And because of that, so the drinking culture in South America about coffee is very, very different than most people realize. Unfortunately, very few people know about it. So here's the thing that I want to share with you. To start from the foundation, let's ask a question. What is a good coffee? Okay, what makes the coffee good? Let's start with that, okay? Well, we have to go back to the nature of a coffee. We know that the coffee beans came from a cherry. That is what we call a coffee cherry. And this cherry grows in a coffee tree. And as the coffee reached to a certain mature age, it can bloom flowers, okay? And from these flowers, if it is completely matured, it will be able to produce fruits. And these fruits that we call coffee cherries have a seed inside there, and that is the coffee bean that we are drinking from, all right? However, though, many people think that by having a certain, I guess you call it the species of these beans. Well, I mean, of course, we heard about the word Typica, Robusto, Arabica, and so on and so forth. But these really don't mean much at all unless you know the main differences between these coffee beans and their different kind of a genetic trends, so to speak. Ideally, if you drink a cup of coffee, this cup of coffee should come in from a very old tree. Okay, it sounds funny. You heard it right. I refer about old trees because coffee cherries are part of the fruit that we already know. And this fruit, just like any other fruit trees, requires a certain amount of time for the tree to mature and able to grow its roots deep enough into the ground. Okay, those fruit farmer knows that the cycle time for you to produce a good quality fruit tree is usually 10 years or more, and some of them actually reaches to 15 and 20 year old. for the same reason that we're talking about a good bottle of wine, all right? Just like a good farmer knows that a certain amount of time, okay, in order for your plants to reach its maturity by having its roots deep enough penetrating into the ground. Let's put it this way. If you have a tree that is only 3-4 year old, a baby tree, all right, imagine the tree is only about certain height and so on and so forth. Its roots is usually comparable to the crown of the tree, meaning whatever above the ground, the size of the tree is the same to the roots this tree should have, because you will never be able to find a tree that, let's say, has 10 meters tall and a ground about 3-4 meters in diameter and have no roots, because otherwise the wind will just blow away the tree, right? So in order for the tree to actually stabilize itself into the ground, and also at the same time supply enough liquid, in this case water or nutrient from the ground, for the photosynthesis process of the trees, so it can produce enough leaves and branches and flower and fruit, seeds, and so on and so forth. So this is a very, very important issue that you have to understand. Just like any old wine, okay? When we're drinking a good bottle of wine, it's normally coming not from a very young farm or, vineyard. So because what happened is those old vineyards in Europe or in somewhere else around the world, at least that has a couple hundred years of history. Why? Because it's passed down generation through generation, their experience, and the main thing are the ingredient. What I mean is good grapes. How did those old good grapes come along? It's just because the vine that this old farm has grown or has planted, they are very, very long time ago. Some of the vine can reach over 100 years. And for the same principle, if the vine is about 100 years old or anything near triple-digit age, imagine its roots, how deep it has been penetrating into the ground. And as we know, when the earth was cooling, okay, from a hot lava state, the first cooling process that the start occurred was from the surface of the Earth's crust. And anything deeper, the mantle is still hot and basically still flowing around. In that flowing momentum, all the nutrients, especially we're talking about the semi-metals or the good nutrient, okay, has a denser and a heavier molecular weight in its element. And of course, as we know, we have a gravity from our Earth and is sucked into the center of the Earth. So therefore, we have to dig in for gold and silver. We will never be able to find a chunk of silver or nugget of gold on the ground level, or what we call the topsoil of our crust. Because the same reason, all the semi-metals and minerals that has a deeper foundation, so we have to dig in. And for the same reason, when any kind of plant, especially a fruit tree, requires a certain amount of time, so its roots can penetrate so much deeper into the ground in order to absorb these minerals and nutrients that the plant needs. So then you have to realize that if the tree has to go down that deep, it requires a certain age. Okay, that's what I said. The best coffee come from old tree coffee, not because of its brand, not because of its species, or not because of its location. It has very little to do with those. The main thing is how old is this coffee tree. Unfortunately, there's another factor very important about, I guess you call the farming of this coffee. So what happened is, in order for the coffee producers to produce a large amount of a coffee bean that they will be able to sell it, it requires a much different method of growing their coffees. And here is the magical word. The coffee tree, the younger the tree, it produces more coffee beans because it can brew more and it can grow more seeds, and more seeds means more coffee means more money. And it's very difficult to understand, but you can understand that when an old tree of any type, after has been bloomed and grow the fruits on a certain branch, that location where has been previously bloomed or grow fruits can no longer reproduce the same amount of fruits in the same location next season. So what happens is, as the tree gets older, its branches, its vines become scarves, okay? Very, very scarved. And those scarves cannot produce new flowers and new blooms, and therefore the production drops down because it has no places to grow. And for the same reason, when those trees are reached to a certain age or so on and so forth, not only the amount is dropped substantially, but also the nutrient from those old trees are much more abundant because it has a larger root network. And that larger network can absorb so much more nutrient that these trees now can absorb and share to the good fruits. So when we're talking about young tree, just to give you an example, depends on the species of the coffee. When the tree is about the first time or the second time given fruits, you can see basically the entire tree will turn white, because when the tree is blooming, the flowers are white color, so the tree will turn into a beautiful white puff, so to speak. And you can smell the flower is beautiful. And as the tree gets older, the amount of flower is reduced to probably a fractional, okay? In the case of a 10-year-old tree, the production is probably 20 to 25% of a young tree. That's how big it is. However, when the tree reaches to 40 or 50-year-old, which is the final stage when the tree can produce fruits, after that, the tree will not die, but it will not be able to bloom. So if the tree cannot give you flowers, no fruits come out of it, and therefore no coffee seeds. So if you understood those principles now, you can understand what I mean by old tree. The older the tree, the more nutrient it sucks from the ground, and the less fruits it produces. So in other words, the flavor, okay, the good stuff coming out of these old tree fruits is basically so much more than a young tree. Okay, so today we're going to stop by here because the time frame is about 14 minutes now. I want to share every single section about 15 minutes with you people. So understanding that principle is our first thing to do, is to know what's a good coffee. A good coffee comes from a very old tree. An old tree does not exist in commercial properties because they need quality, and that's not going to happen because you cannot chop down the tree just to replant and getting a very high volume of fruits. So you need to actually take care of this tree and have a very long cycle of time of 20, 30, 40 years in order to reach to a maturity for this tree to give you good fruits. So if that's the case, then the quality production worldwide is basically down here, very, very low. And that's the same reason a gourmet coffee can never be cheap, because its production is so limited. And if you really happen to have a good cup of coffee, cherish it, okay? Don't waste it by putting it into espresso machine or anything similar to that, all right? Sorry, train is passing by. So until next time, my friends, well, I'll see you soon, okay? This is Dave signing off. Bye.